So yeah, we're moving to the second part of our event, which will be focused on gender equality. And first of all, gender equality at the academies of science. And I have the pleasure to introduce to you Stefan Mühlbachler from the Austrian Academy of Sciences. And Dr. Mühlbachler is the head of grant service at the Austrian Academy of Sciences and deputy chair of the working group on non-discrimination. Before, he worked for 11 years at the Austrian Science Fund as scientific project officer. He has a PhD in geophysics from the University of Graz. So, Stefan, please.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here. It's my first time to be here in Ljubljana, and I really regret that I have to rush home after the event. Yeah, let me start with a few personal words first. As Rock said, I'm a trained physicist, and I'm the head of the grant services at the Austrian Academy of Sciences. So at the grant services, our main duty is to support scientists in getting national and international grants. So we are helping them in writing proposals. So I have to admit, I am really not an expert in gender questions and equal opportunities questions, but from my personal background, I am also a business coach and a trainer for personal development, and I was also a long time at the Austrian Boy Scouts and Girl Guides and was vice president there of the Austrian Boy Scouts and Girl Guides. So from my personal view, equal opportunities questions cannot be neglected at all in each part of our lives, and also not in academia. So that's why I decided this year to become an active member of the working group at non-discrimination at the Austrian Academy of Sciences. So this is also my first official, more or less, event here where I represent our working group, and so it was also very good for me when putting this presentation together to see what the Austrian Academy of Sciences is really doing in this respect. Yeah, and this I will show you, but first of all I will start introducing you to the Austrian Academy of Sciences a little bit, because the Austrian Academy of Sciences might not be equivalent to other Academy of Sciences. The Austrian Academy of Sciences was founded in 1847 as a learned society, first of all. So we celebrated 175 years last year. At the moment we have about 760 members in the learned society and 1,800 employees. So the Austrian Academy of Sciences has more or less three main business areas: to act as a learned society, to represent research and science in the society, but also to act as a researcher, performing research, but also fund research. So these are the three main business areas the Austrian Academy of Sciences has, and therefore it follows about so to say, 6 missions. The first is discovering the future, which has to do innovative basic research and interdisciplinary exchange of knowledge and disseminate what we found in basic research. The next one is representing science via the learned society. Here we see where we have been very proud of last year that our former president Anton Zeilinger got the Nobel Prize in Physics, the first Nobel Prize since, I don't know, 50, 70 years for natural sciences in Austria. But yeah, the learned society to advise on policy, society, and inform the general public about important scientific insights. The next one is, as I said, is performing research. So the Academy of Sciences has about 25 research institutions in the field of innovative basic research, from arts and humanities and natural sciences, so from quantum physics via material physics, on life sciences, but also archaeology and arts and cultural heritage. Yeah, so we focus on future-oriented topics and ensuring the preservation of and interpretation of cultural heritage. The next one is to promote talents. So we support young researchers in a way that they can work as researchers, PhDs, postdocs in our research institution, but we also provide funding for young scholars from school on to their PhD thesis, but also on postdocs with fellowships and prizes. One next mission goal is conveying knowledge. Here on the right side, what I like very much, the campus of the Austrian Academy got renovated the last years, and this is our bibliothek. This is now newly renovated, and it was a sports hall for the police, sports school, and a storage room the years before. Can you imagine that? But now it is what it used to be, a very beautiful bibliothek. Yeah, so the Austrian Academy is also therefore there to disseminate scientific achievements and protects the knowledge and open it to a public. And yeah, the last point, researchers and members of the Austrian Academy of Sciences should maintain national and international cooperations, partnerships in doing research, but also on representing the Austrian Academy of Sciences and the Austrian scientific system. So these are the main tasks of the Austrian Academy of Sciences. The structure is, there is this on top of it is a preceding committee. On the right side we have some advisory board like a senate, so-called, unfortunately these are just in German, these slides, I got it from our annual report, I didn't find it in English. Yeah, scientific advisory boards, and there on the bottom left side is our working group for equal opportunities. So this is directly connected to the preceding committee. So we really have good connection to the highest gremium of the Academy of Sciences. So this part represents the Learn Society. The Learn Society, as I said, is 760 members. In natural histories and philosophic and historical class, and we also have since, I don't know, around 15 years or so, we have a young society, or the young academy so-called, because the Learn Society somehow got older and older, and it was also some part of equal opportunities to introduced the so-called Young Academy. And on an administrative scheme, we have in the middle the central administration, followed by our research institutes, and we also are publishers. The Academy of Sciences also has a publishing institute. Some numbers from our last annual report just shows, this is also in German, sorry for that, the male and female persons in different categories. So on the very top is the Learn Society. We have about 21% female members of the Learn Society. But on the second, you see that in 2021, new elected members of the Learn Society are 61% of female persons. So this is one really good improvement, that the equal opportunity measures also go into the learned society, also to foster the participation of female members in the learned society. 36% on scientific researchers are female researchers, and 64 are male researchers. And in the central administration, it equals more or less. We have 53 female and 47 male employees. About the stipendiates, and so the next ones are stipendiates and funded people by our so-called Studienstiftung. It's also quite similar, 46 to 54 and 57 to 43 male persons. And people speaking at events of the ÖRW, at the Academy, are 39 female and 61% of male lecturers. So there is room for improvement. And here is another one. This is the gender gender part of male and female researchers in different career levels at our institutes. At the very right are students, doctoral students, postdocs, junior group leaders, and group leaders. On the left side, we have the mathematical and natural sciences. On the right side, we have the historical and social sciences and arts sciences. So you see that in particular on the female side, it's decreasing as we see it probably on a lot of research institutions going to leading positions. The percentage of female researchers is decreasing. Not so that much in the humanities and social sciences. We have quite a big amount of group leaders, senior researchers at a senior level on female researchers. But you see, what gives room for improvement is on junior group leaders there. So, what is the Academy doing to improve the situation for equal opportunities? We introduced an equal opportunities and women's promotion plan. Sorry about that. Of course, this was first of all some intrinsic motivation to introduce this, but I wrote it here in red. It's also mandatory for EU funding. So you have to do it. What I present here in green, this is also for the next slides, these are points we are currently working on and which are being revised and where we are still just guidelines that are drawn up. Our Equal Opportunities and Women's Promotion Plan is currently under revision. So first of all, it should foster gender fairness, equal opportunities, and the diversity at the ÖRW in each stage of a scientific career or in each place where you are at the Austrian Academy of Sciences. As I said, it is currently under revision. It will also include more the Learned Society. Up to now, it's focused mainly on the research institution, on the central administration, but it should also include the Learned Society. And the focus in future goes more to equity and inclusion than to equality. When I did this presentation, I found this picture here, which I liked very much, which shows the difference between equality and equity. Yeah, to treat everybody equal does not maybe give equal chances. Yeah. So the Equal Opportunities Plan, so with this Equal Opportunity Plan, the Austrian Academy commits itself to the creation and preservation of a discrimination-free work environment. All employees of the Academy of Sciences should be able to develop their individual potentials and their ability to perform. They also should be supported, as I said, on the various stages of the career life, and it should also foster the compatibility of career and family. The Equal Opportunity Plan supports the goals of the European research area. As I said, it's mandatory to have it for EU funding, so it should eliminate barriers for women in applying for work, recruitment and career, counteract unequal representation of men and women in decision-making processes, and reinforce the dimension also on gender in research contents. I will present now how this Gender Equal Opportunity Plan is written down. It has 3 main topics, so the institutional foundation, so which bodies are dealing with the Gender Equality Plan at the Academy, which procedural and structural measures we introduced to fulfill the goals, and what we are doing for raising consciousness and networking. Yeah, the operative implementation of the Gender Equality Plan lies within the offices in charge at the Academy, which are, of course, mainly the personnel department, and it is monitored by our working group on equal opportunities, and the chairperson of our working group reports to the Gender and Diversity Fix, to which I will come later. Yeah, so this is more or less how we implement it. The working group on non-discrimination, so-called short in akademiji in German, was founded in 2005, but just implemented into the rules of procedure in 2017. So also some quite long time that the non-discrimination working group got its position at the Academy. Yeah, the AKG deals with all questions concerns relating the equal treatment, regardless of gender, ethnic, social, geographical affiliation, or origin, religion, or ideology, age, or sexual orientation. This you probably read in many other papers also. The AKG consists of 12 people, which are elected each 4 years. We just had an election in December, so our working group is put together quite new. 1 re-election is permitted. Eligible members are all employees of the central administration, the research institute, and members of the Learned Society. So more or less everybody who is connected to the Austrian Academy can be elected into this working group. What are the tasks of our working group? We give advice to the proceeding committee on all questions of equality and the advancement of women, all questions dealing with the equal opportunities and women's promotion plan, and also the further development of our plan. Yeah, update of guidelines, information about personnel-related measures, and the monitoring of employee evaluations, and also recruiting. There is also rooms for improvement there, to which I will come later. Quite new is the Office for Equal Opportunities. We have 1 person in place since last year who is working in the Office for Equal Opportunities. This person gives more or less administrative and content support for our working group. She is the interface between the central administration and the research departments, but also of the occupational psychology, and yeah, she gives support and advice to employees who facing troubles in discrimination and mobbing, sexual harassment, but also to gender and diversity questions. And she's also doing public relations work with including communication with equal opportunity actors, and she's also linking with other research institutions. And another officer we would like to establish, which is not in place at the moment, is equal opportunities officers. Our goal is to have one at each institute. As I said, we have 25 institutes. And our goal is to implement one equal opportunities officer at each institute, so that this person can be the first contact point on questions which deal with equal opportunities. Equal opportunities officers are planned that they are proposed by our working group and confirmed by the preceding committee, also with a functional period of 4 years. Yeah, as I said, still to do. We also have disabled confidential contacts. At the moment we have 2 persons there who take care of economic, social, health and cultural interests of supported disabled employees, and their duties is also to comply with the regulations of Disabled Employment Act and to draw attention to the needs of employees with disabilities. As I said, there is the gender and diversity SureFix, to which we report. This SureFix is led by one of the preceding committee members. It meets at least once a quarter. Other participants are the directors of the central administration, and one representative of our working group is also there. It should review the development of the gender equality plan and also should discuss the implementation of the gender equality plan. And the preceding committee member then later reports also to the preceding committee. So this is how it should work. And as another thing in place is the Institute's Directors Conference. These are a meeting of the directors of our 25 research institutes. They meet regularly, at least twice a year, and the plan is also to make gender and equal opportunities questions point on their agenda. Yeah, now I'm coming to the procedural and structural measures that we have in place. We have a guideline on linguistic equal treatment. This is also currently under revision because, as we see, the language is always, or gender-neutral language is always somehow improving. These guidelines show possibilities for gender-fair language, gender-neutral formulations, reformulations. The last years we had the asterisks for gender-neutral formulations. Now we switched to the colon, so this is also always changing and yeah. Another thing we just introduced is the guidelines for protection against discrimination, sexual harassment and mobbing. So within these guidelines follow the prohibition of disadvantage discrimination and also the prevention of sexual harassment and bullying. yeah, these guidelines are quite newly introduced. At the moment, we are also producing guidelines for financing of assistance services for disabled people. It is not, or what's a problem at the moment is to find out how many people are there who have these special needs. It's a matter of data protection, of course, to find these people and to make a list of these people. So we are just dealing with this issue. Another point we are involved in is recruiting. We have guidelines for objectively understandable vacancy announcements, and also currently we are writing guidelines for a recruiting process which also includes the equal opportunities and gender measures in this recruiting process, and also that our working group is involved in the various stages of recruiting processes. What we are doing since, I don't know, 5 years or so is that vacancy announcements have to be published in EURAccess. Dual career service is also part of our recruiting processes. We are a member of the dual career support networks, service support network, but guidelines for that are also still currently put together and drawn up. We are also working on a welcome center. We have information material for researchers and people coming from abroad to the Academy of Sciences, but a concept for the international onboarding or for the onboarding of international scientists is still under development. Compatibility of career and family is another issue we are dealing with. Leave management is one very important point. Also here, guidelines are currently set up, including legal regulations, conditions for a successful reintegration of people after a parental leave. Also, how to deal with working hours for people who have childcare when planning meetings, and so we should raise awareness under people who are in leadership positions when they are planning meetings, that they are aware of that they have people in our group maybe that they have to deal with childcare issues. And we have a fund, so-called Academy and Child. It should be renamed in Academy and Family, that we fund childcare during professional events, also events of the Academy. If somebody has to take part in these events, you can ask for childcare during these events if you have to participate in such events. Career promotion is the next point. We have a mentoring program going on since 2016, which should support young scientists, and there in particular female postdocs or female PhD students in their phases, in their first steps into research. We have training courses for them on different topics, from project management on to funding, but also on personal skills, leadership skills, and what you need. Currently also under development is a concept paper for further training measures for career development for researchers, which should also in particular address the needs of women. Another point on career promotion is coaching. Also here, guidelines are currently drawn up that you can ask for personal coaching on your career questions on team building measures, burnout prevention and also conflicts, and also managerial executive training is currently developed for group leaders and also leaders in the central administration. Yeah, the last point in our gender equality plan is the consciousness raising. We have regular events on gender and diversity. We have lectures on gender and diversity at least twice a year. We have lectures in the Academy's lecture series that deal in particular with questions on gender and diversity. We had lectures, for instance, about Google search, where data are taken, or the search is influenced by data that, how to say, I don't know in English, that are biased. Thank you very much. But also on gender bias and on research. Another point is to make research achievements of women more visible, to promote female instructors in lecture series and events at the ÖRW, to make the research of women at the Academy's Institute more visible. And then we have Femtech internships. Femtech is a program of the Austrian Research Promotion Agency for internships of female students, in particular in natural sciences. And these are not funded 100%, and we have an internal fund to make a co-financing for this Femtech Praktika in our research institutions. And then we have the Women's Networking Breakfast. This should be a gathering of female researchers, but also central administration personnel from managerial positions, from junior group members up to directors, to exchange on questions on equal opportunity questions, but with famous persons from politics, from business. Unfortunately, there was no meeting since the start of COVID-19, so there is also a huge place for improvement here. Yeah, so I'm already coming to an end. What is the visible success of our measures? The consultation hours of our equal opportunities officers have shown that it is helpful and appreciated. We have more female members in our Learned Society. We have an immediate response to cases of mobbing, etc., due to our close connection to the preceding committee. And the awareness of the importance and benefit of equal opportunities and diversity rises. But there is, as I said, room for improvement. What are the challenges that we face? A constant monitoring of measures is not that easy. The personnel and time resources as of our working group are also make it different to fulfill our tasks, because we do this in our working group beneath our regular positions at the Academy. The awareness for the importance of equal opportunity measurements still has room for improvement. And as you saw in my presentation with this lot green points I mentioned, some guidelines and concepts still have to be developed and implemented. Yeah, and there at the bottom is one quote which I found and I very much like. Equality is giving everyone a shoe, equity is giving everyone a shoe that fits, and I hope with all those measures and work we are doing, we finally come to this. Thank you.
Stefan, thank you very much. We are now opening discussion and everybody are free to join. We have about 15 minutes. The reason we invited you today, or your organization, was precisely to see what could we apply as a policy at the Slovenian Academy of Sciences and Arts. And now it should be just made sure, I'm not sure if there is anybody from the Academy in the audience, we did contact them, is that in Slovenian case, what you call the lectured society is a learned society.
Learned society, yeah.
Learned society is a separate legal institution from the research center founded by the Academy, and the research center is precisely what we are. But we are two separate institutions, and while research center of the Slovenian Academy, so SAZU, has gender equality plan and Commission for Ethics, Integrity and Equal Opportunities that Rock and I are member of, and we have a lot of these activities. There seems to be no such activity within the learned society. And I took a note of your of the numbers precisely in learned society, so I'm just putting it here as a comparison. So you said that among members of the Learned Society, these are 760 members, and 21 of them are female, while 61%, so 21% is female, but among the new members is 61%. And in Slovenian system is a bit different. There are 4 women, which is 7% of 4 women, and this is 7% of the regular members, redni člani. And then there are not izredni člani would be not irregular members, but associated members. Which usually do become at later stage regular members, but not necessarily.
This is similar to the Austrian.
Yes, and among these irregular members, there are 23% of women, and then there are 11% among the external members, which are international associates and not really part of the institution. Also, one difference, so we see that the statistics in Slovenia is significantly lower, and this is something we would like to improve. Further differentiation is, as I said, Slovenian Academy is not really research performing organization, but rather a learned society, and is also not really research funding organization, though they do have some additional funds for Academy members to research. So my questions will be a bit going, my first question would be rather into this direction. How would you describe, so how systematically Academy worked on improving the percentage of women among the new members? What is the procedure of choosing women and how the Academy is influencing it? Maybe to start with that and then go to other parts of your presentation.
To be honest, I don't know.
That is also a fair answer.
No, I mean that there is the awareness is there, and this is followed from our proceeding committee. Also, the awareness in the Learned Society is there. We also have 2 members of the Learned Society in our working group. So the raising of awareness is there, and this is followed. So this is really, I think it is actively followed and actively done to raise the percentage of women in the Learned Society. And this was also our proceeding committee, who of course did a lot in this direction. So I think it was actively done, and there was an active search also on that.
Of potential members.
Yeah, on potential members. And I think this, but how the process in particular works, I have to admit I don't know.
Okay, we will learn further, but thank you. Any question from the audience?
Boris Karen from the Institute for the Slovenian Language. You also mentioned gender inclusive language, and this is also a huge topic in Slovenia, not only in linguistic society. I would like to ask you, how was this change from asterisk to colon received in the academic society? And do you maybe know what was the reason for this change to colon?
Yeah, the change was that we followed others, or the lift to that the column represents more and more the lived genderedness, and we looked at how others are doing this and how it is common in the society, and so this was just. This was introduced to the proceeding committee, and they said, okay, now we follow the colon.
If you can just explain physically how it looks like. So is it, how physically the symbol looks like, colon? So yeah. It is male form, colon, and female form?
Yeah.
Okay. Instead of male form, asterisk, female ending.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is comparable to Slovenian case, since what we are discussing at the moment is using not colon, but
underscore.
Underscore, yeah.
Yeah, so for instance, male form underscore female ending or vice versa, precisely in order to allow more gender inclusiveness.
Yeah.
Instead of binary male or female forms. This was the aim.
Yeah.
What I think both Boris and I would be interested in, were there any backlashes, confrontations, people protesting against such a policy?
I don't know. I mean, this was more or less, this is an order from the proceeding committee.
So it was not a debated
No,
issue.
it was not debated. Maybe there was, as I'm at the academy since 6 years, I don't know what were the debates before there when I was there, because when I started at the academy in 2017, we had the asterisks. Mm-hmm. So since then we had the asterisks, and so I did not know how the introduction of this gender-neutral writing was. How people reacted on that. So this I don't know. The semicolon, more or less has to be accepted because it's an order on our guidelines.
So it's basically the decision that there seems to be a social consensus about.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure we are at that point in Slovenia at the moment. Any more questions? I have a further question regarding the measures that you described as part of Equal Opportunities and Women's Promotion Plan, which is basically similar to kind of gender equality plans that we have at research organizations also here in Slovenia. So I think these will be also useful to hear from you. So Office for Equal Opportunities that you mentioned is an administrative body that employs at the moment one person full-time and is associated with the general administration management. Okay, because when you listed the number, so what are the obligations of this person, it seemed quite a lot of work for one person.
Yeah.
So do you think that the situation is going into direction of enlarging this office, or rather dispersing it into equal opportunity officers at each of the institutes?
Yeah, our plan is to have both, because I just talked to her last week and she is really lauded on this level. And so our plan is really to hire a second person. I hope we get a budget. We are just agreeing a new performance agreement with the ministry, and I hope there is room for at least a second person, because as you saw with this lot of green points I have there and the things that we are planning to do, we need a second person, at least, even if not a third. And yes, maybe the equal opportunity offices at the institutes might help there, but the plan for the equal opportunities offices at the institutes is just that they are the first contact point if somebody wants to get in contact with the equal opportunity.
Yeah. My question regarding these potential 25 officers is that are these researchers who then have additional duty to be a contact person, or are these administrative staff employed at the institute who are working on, practical measures at the institute level?
Whoever. Even researchers or administrative persons.
But would this be a paid position?
No,
or?
no.
Exactly.
A honorary position, like our, like we are doing it in the working group.
So it's an honorary position that somebody takes out of activist, personal reasons and motivations.
Yeah, personal reasons. But these people, of course, should get some training on these issues, of course. Yeah.
Yes. And is this the same for disabled confidential contact person?
Yes.
So again, it's unpaid position. I think it's similar to the kind of position that at University of Ljubljana you have as a contact person for sexual harassment, for instance. I'm just making this parallel. I think we have time for one more question. Okay, so finally, I would like to ask you something about dual career service support, because I don't think it's something we are familiar with. So this is the kind of support that is offered to the spouses or partners of the newly employed researchers who are moving from abroad in order to get position at the academy. Can you tell us more about it? So is this something already working? How many, Slovenia is a relatively small country, and most of humanities and social sciences organizations don't really have experience of internationals coming in. However, research organizations that are dealing with chemistry, physics, natural sciences, and of course technology have much bigger influx. And what has been raised in this issue at another conference organized by Commission for Equal Opportunity in Science here in Slovenia is that there is a lot of administrative issues that these families are dealing with. Basically, getting residence permits, enrolling children in schools. So the kind of issue that they raised was not really connected with the dual career. So is part of your dual career service support also this kind of administrative help in sort of integrating a foreigner into Austrian society? Or what are else elements of this support?
The main part is certainly also this administrative support, supporting also the spouse who come and getting visa and also this maybe helping in getting funding. So maybe somebody comes, I don't know, with the Marie Curie grant, and the spouse comes also to Austria, and we help them in the grant service getting funding from Austrian Science Fund or EU funding, and so it's more like this.
So it's rather needs-based support rather than some welcome package as it is.
Both. I think more on the first thing, but also on a certain level also on other welcome packages.
Yeah. Very interesting. And also the final point about childcare during professional events, how it works in practice, bearing in mind the children might be a different, so the group of children might be a different size, so you need one or several child carers. Children could be different age, and also there is the issue of, you know, professional license for somebody who is supposed to professionally care for children. Is this more very formalized, less formalized? How it works in practice?
How it works in practice, we have no experience so far because it's also quite new. But we facing challenges still because there is one rule that people have to be employed at the academy to get this funds. Yeah? If somebody is we just had this problem that somebody wrote an EU grant and needed a babysitter for the EU, for the ERC interview. And during this time, she was on parental leave, so was officially, she was employed at the academy, but made no timesheets. So she wrote no timesheets. And so we could not fund her because it was not possible to follow all the rules that are written down in this system. So we have troubles in the practical, on working on practical issues on that.
Yeah.
And also what you just said, different children, we have to learn in practice how we deal with that.
Yeah. I think we could all agree that these mechanisms, when put from paper to practice, are pretty much work in progress and constantly evolving.
Yeah, I am very keen on what Christoph from University of Graz is presenting because I think this is the main part to go from what is written on the paper, which looks very nice, which is very well thought through, or maybe not that thought through. It is very well thought out, but not that thought through, and how to implement really the measures that they are working.
Yeah. Thank you very much. One round of applause.